I'm glad to find that out at this point in time. And it's 7 o'clock.
Oh, it is? Okay, let me shut up.
I call the meeting to order. For an opening prayer, Chief, would you be willing to do the opening prayer?
Sure, be glad to. Let us bow. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to just come to you and petition you, Father, for our needs that we have. We thank you so much for this day, Father, for the blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We thank you, Father, for the honor of being able to come to you, and thank you for the blessing of us being able to serve this community together. We ask you guide and lead this board as they make decisions for the people of the town. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you, Chief. Next item is the approval of the board minutes. You have the minutes in your packet from September the 14th and September the 21st special called board meeting and the October 6th workshop. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, the minutes will stand approved. Excuse me, I missed the roll call. Have you taken the roll call, Bob?
Yes, and I'd just like to mention who is also here tonight. Doug Earthman's here to discuss the resolution for the borrowing the money for the firehouse project. Carrie Conrad is here. She's here in place of Ellen for Fleming to discuss a little bit of something about the firehouse. And then let's see, I guess that's it. Jeep is here with me in the office. David Newby's also here. And that's it, I guess. And Carolyn, of course, Mail is here.
Okay, if there's no objection, we'll go to item 7.1, the letter of engagement between Somerville and Doug Earthman as bond counsel for the firehouse project. Bob?
Yeah, so in order to get started with this, we need to create a bond anticipation note. This note works slightly differently than a loan from the gas department would work. We get a little bit longer time before we have to make a payment. We have 2 years before we actually have to make a payment on this note. But this is the interim financing, the interim funding of the actual construction project, and this note would be paid off once we're completed with both projects, or one project, or if we do both projects. So anticipating when we're going to go through the timeline, we're looking at maybe both projects being finished sometime at the end of 22 or beginning of 23. The USDA funding would pay off this note in its entirety at that time.
Okay, we have before us a letter of engagement with Ankler Brown for this. Doug, would you like to say anything?
This is a fairly typical form of engagement letter that has been recommended by the American, the National Association of Bond Lawyers, and we generally follow that format in issuing our engagement letters. This is our total fee for all would be $15,000, and the way it usually breaks out is we have a bond anticipation note coming from a local bank and then a takeout at the end. I'm not sure how this is going to work since we're doing a interfund loan for the interim financing, but that will be worked out. The total fee will be the same. It's just when part of it's paid. And following this, we've also presented a form of bond resolution for the board to consider that would authorize not only the ultimate bond to be issued, but it would authorize interim financing in the form of a bond anticipation note for interim certificates of indebtedness. So this anticipates all of that, and our recommendation is to go ahead and adopt the resolution. It'll subsequently be submitted to rural development, has to go through their forms and their regional council and whatever and come back. However, the formal resolution is one we've used with them previously, and I don't expect comments, but if there are, we can come back and make an amendment to the resolution before the final bond takeout. So anyway, this is our engagement letter to get started. Under the rules and your debt management policy, you have to have a signed engagement with outside advisors and professionals, and this is to fulfill that requirement of your debt management policy.
So we will also, Doug, have to get approval from the comptroller's office to make this loan through the gas department at some point in the future, in the near future.
That's a submission. It's really not complicated, but they have to approve it.
Yes, sir. And we did get approval from USDA to use this type of interim financing. And I will also be required to get 2 additional, go out on the open market and get 2 quotes from local banks to verify that this is the best solution for us. Which I think it probably will be, but you know, at 0.65, which is what we can make at most right now in our gas department funds, you know, I think the bank would have a hard time matching that, but we'll see. It is a guaranteed loan, basically, that will be paid off in 2 years or 2.5 years at the most.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first step is to approve the letter of engagement. Is there a motion?
Mayor Mike French, I'll make the motion to approve the letter of engagement with Glankler Brown.
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and then seconded to approve the letter of engagement. Is there any discussion? Does anyone have any questions? Would you call the roll?
Judy,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Sandra,
Aye.
James,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
motion carries.
Okay, the next item is 7.2, the resolution 18-2020, which is the resolution authorizing the issuance of a not to exceed $4 million general obligation bond.
So this
Doug,
is yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Doug, do you need to say anything about this, or is this just the second step of this process?
I gave a number to fill in a blank to Bob earlier today. There was a blank open on page 4.
Right. So that amount was 166,000. If we borrowed every penny of that loan at 2 3/4%, it'd be a little bit higher than $166,000 a year. But as I believe, we will not be coming close to that amount of money, because right now interest rates are 2 1/8%. And we don't anticipate it costing us more than, well, anywhere near $4 million, especially since we got the $420,000 grant through Community Development Block Grant.
Okay, but we do need to put something in there.
Yeah,
I've got it on my other one, Mayor.
It's
Okay.
166,127.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And if we fill that in, that would be the max amount of at the locked in rate of 2.75% over a 40-year term. That would be the annual payment. And if you don't borrow as much, of course, it's going to be less. And we hope that's the case. It sounds like it from what Bob's told me about the grant.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the resolution 18-2020?
Who
Somebody
was that?
said
I move.
that's.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, Ronnie.
Judy?
to move, you cut out and I thought you was finished. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I just trying to make sure that we had the right people
Yes.
down.
I got Judy seconding it.
Right. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 18-2020. Is there any discussion or questions? If you would
The
call the roll.
166, what was it now? The 166?
166, $127. $166,127 would be the max annual payment.
Oh, max annual pay. Okay.
And
If we
that's
borrowed
what-
the 4 million, which
if
we're
you borrow
not
the
going to be
Yeah.
doing.
full 4 million, which we're authorizing up to that amount in this resolution. But
Okay.
I hear from Bob, it's liable to be substantially less. That's just a
Okay.
requirement, the law to have it in the resolution.
Are there any more questions or discussion? If you would call the roll.
Judy,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Sandra,
Aye.
James, Jason, Mayor,
Aye.
all voted aye.
The resolution passes. Is there anything else we need to do on this tonight?
I don't think so.
Okay, we appreciate you attending, Doug, and
Sure.
you're certainly welcome to hang around if you have nothing to do. You're certainly welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting.
I might want to listen to the part where Fleming Architects discusses.
So we can go to that
Okay.
next, Mayor, if you want.
That's what I was planning on doing. So
Okay.
that is under
7.6.
7.6, an
Yes,
update
sir.
on the firehouse construction project.
So
Okay,
I
we
spoke
will
to,
take that up.
yes, sir. I spoke to Ellen today, and on your screen, I just got this today, so you didn't get it in the packet, is a draft of the construction schedule, design and construction schedule for the firehouse. I also have the one for the police headquarters. You can see that the anticipated date of actually finishing the specifications and going to bid is sometime in March, April of next year, with the bid being awarded in May and the construction starting immediately thereafter. She put a year in there, which I think is probably long, but with the dirt and everything, who knows what it'll actually take. And then you can see that the final would be done sometime in spring of 22. The police schedule, it looks like this, starting in 21. And if you'll look down further where the construction part starts on line 14, you'll see that it would coincide with the completion of the fire department, which was supposed to be complete, the new firehouse, which is supposed to be completed in May of 22. They would come in and start the construction project of the police headquarters, or renovating the old firehouse, starting in June. A much shorter time on that. Looks like, well, I don't know exactly, 6 months or so for the construction of that, with them moving in February of 23. And assuming that everything goes as planned and we get everything in line in February of 21, this will all work with our bond anticipation note, I believe. Everything coming to fruition within the 2-year scope of that bond anticipation note, and finishing February of 23. And everything should come together right at the same time there, if we stay on top of it. So that's what we talked about today. In addition, one of the things I was talking to Ellen about, and I'm going to look for the PDF here. I'm sorry, I didn't put it up. Would be to about the construction phase of this. And Carrie Conrad is here for Ellen. Maybe you can talk about this. I talked about, I know we talked about the 3-bay construction and all that, and the 2-bay. What we kind of, I was talking to Ellen about it. We might want to decide if we want that 3-bay construction to have a single roof on it or those 3 roofs that she talked about earlier. So let me see if I can find those pictures. I'm looking for them. Hang on a second. All right. All right. This would be the 3 roof version where you had a shallower middle roof in the middle, and you had 2 different ridge beams, one of them over the administration part and one of them over the bay part. And this was the original plan. And then the other one, let me see if I can find that one. That's going to be harder to find because I don't know where it is. Sorry. Is basically a single ridge beam design where there's only one. This part over here would not exist. It would be under one roof. So basically like the cheaper version of the 2-bay version that we looked at a couple of weeks ago. So Carrie, do you have anything to add to that as far as cost and stuff like that?
Yeah, we looked at it. I talked with several metal building companies and a couple of contractors, and we looked at the cost savings. If you were to go to the single gable design, you're going to save about $85,000. There's some other things in play there that once we get further into the design, we'll be able to see how much more money we'll be able to save. And there'll be some other things that will be in play, like with going with the single gable, you can't put your rooftop units up on the roof. It has to be on a flat surface, so they will have to be down on the ground. So there's some design things that we'd have to play with, but you're looking about a $85,000 savings.
So what I was wondering is if that is enough for us to go with a single ridge beam and versus the 3 different roofs. I think that the brick costs somewhere in that neighborhood. And I think the block also costs somewhere in that neighborhood. So those are 2 of the 3 add-ons that we were going to put into the contract. So,
Yeah, I think if the brick look is what you're wanting to go for, I think going with that with the single gabled design, you're probably going to get more for your buck if you were to go with that design over this 3 roof design.
Well, to tell you the truth, I thought we had decided on the single roof when we approved the contract with Fleming last time.
So I don't know if that was actually decided. We did go with the 3-bay last time, and that's why I just wanted to clarify to make sure we're all on the same page, really, Mayor.
Have you found the picture of the single roof?
Not yet. No, I'm sorry. I'll look for it.
Okay.
All right, so we need to make this decision tonight. Is that what
I
I'm
think
hearing?
so. Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'd kind of like to see the single roof before
I'm working
we
on
make
it.
the motion.
I'm working on it.
Well, for me personally, for $85,000, there's not.
Much of a choice.
Well,
I'm going with for the single roof. If it was $10,000, that might be a little different. But for $85,000,
I thought this is what we looked at the last time we saw it, the single roof. I thought that's what we
did.
decided.
There wasn't a color picture. It was kind of a black and white
Right.
picture.
Mayor, the picture we're looking at now, that office part, is we know sometimes gutters fail, and it could be dumping water on that. I would hope it wouldn't be a flat roof between the 2 structures.
Well, I mean, that That shows a flat roof between the two structures.
Right. Well, hopefully it would be shedded off one way or the other, but still.
I agree. Flat roofs don't work.
Flat roofs aren't too good.
I can't find it. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll make the motion. We go with the single roof design.
I'll second it.
Okay. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to go with single roof design. Is there
Can we- Go
any
ahead, Ron.
discussion?
I'd just like to get a picture of it, just to see what it looks like.
I can send a rendering of it tomorrow.
Okay.
That will work.
Is there any more discussion? We have a motion on the floor to approve the single roof design. Would you call the roll, please?
Judy,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Sandra,
Aye.
James,
Aye.
Jason, Mayor.
Aye. Motion passes. So that, are there other items we need to take up on this?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Kara, for attending tonight.
Thank you.
All right. We will now go back to the first part of the agenda. Thank you, Doug, for being here
Thank you,
tonight.
Ralph.
We appreciate it.
Thanks. I'll sign off. Thanks.
Okay. First item on the agenda is comments from the community. Is there anyone from the community who would like to address the board tonight? I see we have some people attending. All right, seeing no comments. Mayor's comments. If we could have a moment of silence in memory of Gerald Red Tomlinson. If you would join me in a moment of silence, please. Thank you. We now have resolution 17220, which is a resolution in honor of Gerald Red Tomlinson. I'd like to read that in the record, please. Whereas Gerald Red Tomlinson was born in Holly Springs, Mississippi, and whereas Gerald Red Tomlinson graduated from Fayette County High School in 1968, where he was known as Red Racer for his speed, agility, and power on the football field. And whereas Gerald Red Tomlinson attended Northwest Mississippi Community College, where he continued to play football. And whereas Gerald Red Tomlinson is survived by his wife of 49 years, Mary Ann Winfrey Tomlinson, and two children, Bailey Lewis and Andrew Tomlinson. And whereas Gerald Red Tomlinson ran a cattle farm in Belize for several years for Dr. John Morris. And whereas Gerald Red Tomlinson worked for the town of Somerville for almost 40 years, from 1976 through 2016, where he retired as general manager of the utilities departments. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the town of Somerville that Gerald Red Tomlinson is hereby recognized by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the town of Somerville for his many years of service and dedication to the citizens of Somerville and Fayette County, Tennessee, read and adopted this 12th day of October 2020. And I would move adoption of the resolution.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? If you would call the roll, please.
Judy,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Sandra,
Aye.
James,
Aye.
Jason,
Uh,
Mayor.
Aye. The motion passes, the resolution passes. If you would prepare that appropriately for presentation to his family.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, we've taken care of 7.1 and 7.2. 7.3 is review the Highway 64 Museum roofing project bids.
We had a mandatory pre-bid meeting. We distributed 4 packets to people: Arc Roofing, Champion Roofing, Jesse Bryant Roofing, and Summit. 3 of them attended the mandatory pre-bid meeting, and they were the only ones allowed to bid. Champion, the bids are listed over there on the right-hand side. Those are lump sum bids. The lowest bid was Summit Roofing at $43,128, which includes a $1,000 contingency in case they run into something that they're not aware of. So, and we had the bid opening very successful, I thought. We also got input from Andy Kitzinger from University of Memphis. You remember him because we did the town square development project thing, and what's that, downtown enhancement thing, right? Sorry, I'm not very articulate tonight, obviously. And anyway, he helped us at a pre-bid meeting determine a few extra little things that we added to the specification. I think 4 or 5 addendum pieces of things we added to the and an addendum to the contract. So you can see that Champion Roofing didn't enclose their addendum with the bid. So luckily they didn't win it. So, but anyway, Champion Roofing was the one who did the awning in front of the museum building, and also the roof on the electric building down there on Midland. And Summit was the one who came in second every time. So I guess Summit didn't want to lose this time. So.
Okay, so the low bidder is Summit Roofing at $43,128.
Yes, sir.
Is there a motion to award the bid?
I move.
Okay, we have James moved and Jason, was that you seconding?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve Summit Roofing at $43,128. Is there any discussion? Would you call the roll?
Judy,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Sandra,
Aye.
James,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is the bids for the ride-on tractor.
We had a bid opening last Thursday, and these are the bids. They're similar to what we got the last time on this that we did not wind up presenting to the board. But anyway, these are the bids. Vermeer Mid-South was the winner. Even though they bid a little higher, their trade-in value lowers the price significantly. This would be trading in the 2019 RT 45 model trencher, which is a Ditch Witch model.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, Lofty.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the low bid of $84,549. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, when they presented those bids before the seal bid opening, I think they were giving us credit for $40,000 against that used trencher.
I don't remember, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
Do we know, is that right?
As far as I know, that may have been the original bid, but this is the bid that we're working with because we opened the bids up last Thursday. They're in a sealed bid process. So I think we're tied to these bids.
Okay.
Okay, is there any more discussion? Would you call the roll?
Judy,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Sandra,
Aye.
James, Jason,
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye. Motion passes. The bid is awarded to the low bidder. The next item is 7.5, Resolution 16-2020, a resolution to participate in the Public Entity Partners Property Conservation Matching Grant Program.
So we just
This
found out
is
about
a-
this, pardon me? Sorry,
Well,
we
I
just
was
found out
gonna
about
say
this program this week. I'm sorry, Mary, you talking?
Well, I was, but go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, this is, I think they do this about every year, don't they, on the matching
Yes, sir.
grant program for safety equipment? I think we've done this every year now for 2 or 3 years anyway.
Well, the other one is a $3,000 thing, $1,500 match. This is an $8,000 safety, and this would be what we applied for on this grant program. This one is taking care of, security at the front counter. So we know we have, COVID issues and other issues with people coming into City Hall. This would help us pay for some security at the front counter, safety glass and that kind of stuff.
All right, so does this say anything about
No, it just
what
says
this
we're gonna,
is?
this is a first come, first served grant. We really gave there's not much of a application for this thing. You put in what you're gonna do with it and they award it based on what you're gonna do with it. So Mendy, you have anything to add to it? Since you applied for it?
Yes, it's basically it's a property protection grant. It's a little bit different than the safety grant, which we were awarded, and we purchased things for public works, the police and the fire department. This is actually a protection of our assets. So with COVID being around, obviously our people are our assets, but also our cash, our the amount of money that we take in. So that did qualify. But we figured it might be twofold. Well, it's actually threefold with COVID and with protecting our staff. Also, we would be able to make the counter ADA compliant. And so fourfold actually. But that's what it's for. And again, it's $8,000. We have to match $4,000.
Okay, resolution's a little short on facts there, but
What they gave us, Mayor.
Yeah, that was the template of what they offered. So
well, but the board needs to know what it's actually applying for, it seems to me. But is there a motion to participate in this? Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
I move.
I'll second it.
Okay, and that second was by
Mike,
okay. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution 16-2020 to participate in the Public Entity Partners Safety Partners Matching Grant Program. Is there any discussion?
Could we possibly get a explanation of what we're gonna do? Kind of as an attachment to this to go in the record?
what we'll do is if we're awarded this, we would not start design or construction of that at all without the board's approval on this. Bob, that's correct, right?
Yeah, I have a rendering of what it might look like. That
Right.
was done several years ago. And I can show you what that would look like.
Okay.
Would $12,000 cover that construction?
It would be $8,000 total. I think we put $10,000 in there as an estimate on the cost.
Okay,
Without really, talking to someone else at this point, we didn't really get any prices or anything on that. We will work to get prices on it and bring it back to the board at the next workshop. We can do that very easily.
okay. The
'Cause
way
this
I
one-
understood it, Bob, it was a $8,000 grant from Public Entity Partners. Is that not correct?
It's $8,000 total project with 50-50 match.
Okay, in other words, they're supplying $4,000.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Okay,
And since we're a tier 1 county, we can only get the 50-50.
What does that have to do with anything?
It doesn't have anything to do with it, but that's the way they do it. The distressed counties get a better rate. I think.
I didn't know that had anything to do with PE, but all
Maybe
right.
not.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, and so you will be bringing to the board the intentions of what this will be spent for at the next workshop.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there any more discussion? If not, if you will call the roll.
Judy,
Aye.
Mike, Sandra,
Aye.
James, Jason,
Uh,
Mayor.
Motion passes. 7.7, we've already done 7.6, 7.7, discuss adding the use of force policy and the duty to intervene policy to the police department SOP. You have in your packet a MTAS legal opinion. Chief, would you like to address any of this?
As far as the use of force policy and the duty to intervene, or this actual response letter?
Just any and all or whatever.
Sure. As I said at the workshop, the reason that I wanted to present it to the board is it's just a very important piece of our policy. Presented it as an informational tool so that y'all have knowledge of what we're doing to keep up with the latest policy recommendations in law enforcement to bring us up to today's date and time and make us more transparent in our policies. And in my opinion, it's a very, very good policy and will fit what we need.
Okay. Now, the legal opinion says that in her opinion, MTAS legal, that the board wouldn't actually approve this. Tom, I see that you have joined us. Would you like to comment on any of this? Tom, are you saying anything? If you are, I'm not hearing you. Nat shows you're on mute. We can't hear you, Tom, or I can't. I don't know whether anybody else can.
No.
No, I can't. Nobody can hear him, I don't think, Mayor.
Okay. The wonders of technology. I would think that Tom didn't know how to work his machine, except I have this problem all the time too, every day, at least once or twice on a Zoom call. Somebody has to try to figure out their sound. Tom, if there's anything that you think we need to know, you think it's okay to do this, all right, I can see the thumbs up. I assume you can hear us. You just can't, okay, your microphone is just not, the proper microphone's just not turned on.
Thanks for your legal opinion there, Tom.
Yeah, that might be the way we need to start doing that. You can just give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down on something we're trying to do.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I spoke with Tom after he got this letter, and he agreed.
All right, you just cut out. Could you say that again?
I had spoke with Tom Miner after we received this letter, and he agreed with the letter 100% from Melissa.
Okay. And I don't, the only thing I wonder about is if, and I'm not certainly saying that the board needs to approve, but I think the board does need to be at least aware of policies, not just by the police department, but by the fire department or public works or the accounting office or anybody else. I know that our current chief is not going to ever do anything like that, but what if we had a chief who decided that chokeholds were a very appropriate part of use of force and wanted to make those available to the officers? So I don't know, I'm wondering if we just need to let it be known that when our departments adopt policies, they at least need to file those policies, say, with the city administrator, so that the city administrator, if he determined that, maybe this is something the board needs to be aware of, so that at least the board could be made aware of some policy that's been adopted by a department head. Tom, would that be appropriate? And I see a thumbs up there that might be an appropriate way to handle this. I'm just not sure that department heads need to be adopting policies that the board doesn't know anything about, or at least the city administrator knows something about, so that if they see that there's something there that board members, at least, it's always like I say, don't surprise the board. The last thing I want is to walk down the street and have a cup of coffee and some citizen inform me of a policy that we now have that I didn't know anything about. I've always said I can make myself look bad enough. I don't need any help from other people. So I think we might develop a policy. If it's agreeable to the board, we may want to look at developing a policy that when the departments adopt policies, that they're at least filed with the city administrator, just as kind of a public notice to the board that, hey, this is what we do nowadays. Any thoughts from anybody else?
Did you just?
I'd like to make a comment.
Okay.
I just think since we've only got basically 3 department heads, fire, police, and public works, just let them be aware if there's any policy change within their department that they want to adopt. Of course, we need to make sure, like with this one, that Tom, if there's any legal binding to it, make sure that it's okay. And like you say, Ronnie, just at least run it through Bob and the department head saying, hey, we're wanting to change policy. I just think, you need to be aware. And if the board needs to be aware and the mayor needs to be aware of what we're wanting to adopt, I agree with that.
Okay. James, did you want to say
that was
something?
pretty much that was pretty much in alliance with what I was going to say, that the board members and the administrative part need to know about changes that would affect the general public.
Yes, I agree with that as well. I mean, I
Okay,
think we entrust our 3 department heads to run their departments respectively. And if they want to change certain, I mean, like for instance, if they want to change uniforms, I don't necessarily see that we need to be aware of their uniform change unless it's inappropriate. But I mean, certain policies like this that could involve our officers in possible legal cases, yes, by all means, I think the administrator and board mayor need to be aware of these policy changes, certain ones anyway.
Okay, Mike, I see that you're unmuted. Did you have a comment?
Yes. Mayor, should these be spread across the minutes and, and it's said for informational purposes?
If the board's not actually taking any action, I would say that it would not be appropriate for them to be in the minutes. Normally, the minutes should only reflect actions taken by the board.
Okay, thank you.
So I would, my ruling at first would be that no, they wouldn't go in the minutes. I mean, obviously it might be fine to make a statement in the minutes that policy procedures were discussed by the board, but we're not really taking any action at this point. Anybody else? I guess Tom is still silent in Rossville. Maybe it's the distance between Rossville and Somerville.
I'm sure that's probably it.
That's probably what it is. It's just too far to carry. Does anybody else have any comments on this? Okay, we will work on the policy to just to say how we're going to do this so that in the future, it's not that the board's approving it, that just that the board would be made aware of policy changes instituted by department heads.
And we could have opinions on that, though.
We could have opinions, and when it comes down to it, the department heads do work for the board. So, I mean, if the opinion is strong enough one or the other, then the department head might want to take that into consideration, I guess. But,
okay.
I don't anticipate with our department heads, I wouldn't anticipate anything like that happening, but down
we
the
have weekly staff meetings, Mayor. We haven't been doing it weekly as much lately because of all this virus stuff, but we're constantly in communication with each other. So it wouldn't be hard at all to administer that kind of a policy. And we can figure that out. I'll work on that.
Again, the big thing is that the board doesn't get surprised. Is what I think about it. It's not that I necessarily want to approve it, but I do. Especially something like this, use of force. And I mean, with all conversations nationwide about use of force policies and police departments, and I want to thank the chief for having a relationship with this community and our police department for having a relationship with the community that, if you'll notice, we protesters when all of that was going on. And I think that goes back to the relationship the police department has with our community. And we want to keep it that way. And thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
And if you would thank our officers for that.
Yes.
I think that makes a huge difference.
Think so too. That'd be great.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments on this? If not, we are down to unfinished business. Is there anything else that you have, Bob?
No, sir.
Any new business?
I got a question for Bob.
All right.
Did you figure out what was wrong with the lights?
Yeah, when the person ran their car into the courthouse, they hit one of our little lights, the little 3-foot tall lights that are right in front of the courthouse, and that flipped a
Okay.
couple breakers. And when I went home that night, I sent everybody an email saying, "Yeah, the lights are out." And
Okay.
yeah, they were out. We just turned the breakers back on.
We had to do some electrical.
Okay.
All right. Anything else?
Mayor, would you speak to the selection by the selection committee of the Tennessee Municipal League of Anthony Haynes?
Okay. The Tennessee Municipal League Executive Director, who is Margaret Meharry, and she has been there now, what, Mike, 10, 12 years anyway?
I think so.
She is retiring at the end of the year. The TML has gone through a process where they have, on Friday, they selected Anthony Haynes to take her place. That will be presented to the board of TML tomorrow. Is it 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, Mike?
1 o'clock. 1 o'clock.
You can go on the TML if you want to watch something exciting. You can go on the TML website tomorrow, and there's a Zoom link where you could watch the board meeting where they will be receiving the search committee's nomination of Anthony Haynes as the new executive director of the Tennessee Municipal League. Which is a very important position to cities in Tennessee. That's tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Anthony Haynes is currently the governmental relations for the University of Tennessee. So he would be, if he accepts the job, if they work it out, he would be the new executive director of TML. He actually works in the same building as TML right now. That's where his office is. So that will be happening at 1 o'clock tomorrow. We assume that the board at this point will accept the search committee's recommendation, but you know, it's a board meeting with what, 30 people, Mike?
I believe there's 34, Mayor.
So with 34 board members, you know, that can always be exciting as to what happens. It can be exciting sometimes with just 7, but certainly it can be with 34.
I'm glad you didn't say 6.
Well, there are 7 of us, so that's why
Well,
it's
that's
just
true.
7.
Mayor, I'd just like to say that Anthony Haynes was instrumental in helping us get our center through THEC and other obstacles that came up with the state legislature. He helped us. He's been helping. Well, he helped us probably since 2015, 2016. He helped us get this whole thing through to help us put the center together.
Yes, he's originally from West Tennessee. He's from Trenton originally. He went to school at UT Martin. He has previously been the state director of the 911 system. Before that, he had a job in Washington. I'm not sure exactly what he did in DC, but he's been with UT as their government relations person now for about 15 years. So very highly qualified, I believe, to lead TML at this point in time. So anybody, you can go on TML1-org, and there will be a Zoom link at 1 o'clock tomorrow, which I'll expect to see all of y'all at the Zoom meeting tomorrow at 1. Anything else, Mike? Did I cover that?
No, that's all. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Okay, and of course, y'all all know, I'll remind you though, that Mike French serves as a district director for the Tennessee Municipal League on their board, which Mike does a lot of work for us on that. And I appreciate, Mike, you serving on that and putting in the extra time to represent Tennessee cities, but especially since you're representing us, we appreciate that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Is there anything else to come before the board before it says my battery is running low? You might want to plug in your time, except I won't just be missing speech, I'll be missing everything. If there's work on that, I'll call you tomorrow, Tom, and see if you've got the microphone fixed.
Get his wife to
Okay.
fix his microphone for him since he's
Yeah,
on
if you would.
Katrina's iPad.
Right. Thank you all. Meeting
Thank you.
adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Okay.
good night.